There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Onrie. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yisun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it. You're watching Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show. I am your host, Onrie Kompen. It's great to be here with you guys this wonderful afternoon. Before we get started and before we bring our guests on, I just want to give a big shout out to my producer on the XP, Kyle Northrup. Kyle has been a very supportive friend throughout my transition into the comic stealing game, and is also responsible for this show being here on the EXP. And he is someone I often come to for support and advice, and he's always had my back. And he has been extremely supportive with helping me move forward with Yisun Shin. As you guys can imagine, this has been kind of like a difficult period for me, not having Dak with me to finish the series. Passing away in the middle of an arc is really kind of a struggling thing for us to kind of cope with. But we're finally starting to make some progress. And, Kyle gave me some really good advice yesterday that allowed me to focus. And I actually started to get some scripting done. And that has gotten me excited because I'm always inspired by all the creators out there who are doing their thing and not letting anything stop them. And the guests we have today are two people that I have immense respect for, who carry that same ideal and push forward no matter what the cost. So it is my pleasure to not only welcome the writer, but the artist of the new hit series Snowpaw. We got Rob Multari and we got Mom Park in the house. Woo!
Hello, everybody.
And we got some Russian person here who is spamming our feed. Is it Natalia Timibareva? Whatever. Sorry.
Yo, too bad it's daylight. We can't drink, huh? Take shots.
We can take shots at each other.
I can start.
We can only take shots at each other. All right. So for everybody who's tuning in for the first time and doesn't know who you guys are, why don't we start off with you, Rob, since this is your brainchild here. Why don't you tell us about Nightwolf and Snowpaw? You might want to start off with this bad boy right here.
Right on. All right. So I'm Robert A. Multari. I'm the creator and writer of Nightwolf and Snowpaw through my self-publishing imprint, Lone Wolf Comics. I've been self-publishing since 2017, and I have right now with Nightwolf, I have 5 issues out, working on issue 6, and I also have a trade paperback, volume 1. Collected edition for issues 1 through 4, as Onrie is showing you these lovely little pictures. But we also have this new project, Snowpaw, that I worked with Mog Park on, and it's called Snowpaw, and it's a gorgeous book. It has, it's all about a Scottish werewolf who, basically has discovered that she's born a werewolf and, has to find out how to maneuver her way through 19th century Scotland and Europe.
I have had the pleasure of reading all of your work, and I have to say that I am so utterly blown away by the artwork in Snowpaw, which is thanks to the artist you brought on, Mog Park, a very good friend of mine. So Mog, tell me, how did you get involved with this? How'd you get involved with this guy right here? How'd you get involved with him? What happened? How did this all work out?
He was. I like supporting like Kickstarter and independent comics, and his particular story intrigued me because it's about werewolves. And yeah, I remember I purchased it because I was interested in the story. And according to Rob, it was during
your show.
Yeah, it was live on your show.
No way.
That we had together during the Nightwolf live signing. She bought the Nightwolf issues 1 through 3 or 1 through 2 off of you.
1 through 4 actually. She bought 1 through 4 off.
She bought So then, like from there, like we had that conversation.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so really, this book is all thanks to you.
Well, I appreciate that, but no, it's not. It's thanks to your hard work. I just happened to be there at the right place at the right time to connect you to. But you guys obviously did the work, and that is 100% on you. I take no responsibility for that. But I am honored to be, I'm honored that you guys connected this way. And this is a really wonderful thing. So, Rob, I know about Nightwolf, and I've read the first 4 issues. I actually have issue 5 here and the first trade for anybody that's interested. What's going on, Joe Hardy? We got Anvu in the house. We got some other folks here. Rob Owens is in the house as well. Nightwolf is basically what I really liked about it is it was kind of like it was kind of like my favorite 90s like Buffy type story meets Teen Wolf, and by way of like Game of Thrones almost. And I really like the first 4 issues, which puts us in the shoes of a high school kid who's just living his life, enjoying stuff, and dating the hottest chick in high school and going to prom and dealing with that, plus all these newfound powers that he suddenly has and how that's wrecking his family. Snowpaw, however, takes on a very different tone and takes place at a different point. Now, the character of Snowpaw is introduced in Nightwolf.
Yeah.
And why did you feel compelled to tell the story of Snowpaw and stop moving forward, but actually go back?
So with Snowpaw particularly, she was a very strong character, and I wanted her to be that way because I wanted a strong female character to come in and basically take this kid by the scruff and train him, and so I think when I was writing her throughout the series with Nightwolf, it just it get more and more apparent that like she has her own story, her own things to tell. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, people love her. I love her. She actually is my favorite character in the series. So I'm like, I have to do something with her more than just what she is. And there's so much, even when I wrote her into the script for Nightwolf, I had set that she was born in like the 19th century in Scotland. So I had all this time to play with. And I've always wanted to expand my universe and show more fantasy as well as along with the supernatural that we're already seeing in Nightwolf. But I wanted to show that, fantasy creatures exist as well. And, but people don't, every day people don't see them until like their eyes are open to them. Right. So I thought this was a great way to do that. Kind of open that world and show that these creatures do exist in this universe. And, I pulled my audience. I said, hey, what's the next series you want me to work on? I have a list of other ones that I listed out. And then I threw her in there as well. And it was like almost unanimous that everybody wanted like her own origin story. So it was like a no-brainer at that point.
That's really cool. So Mog, coming into this, essentially you launched something, you and Rob launched something new together, because the art style of Nightwolf though I think it's complementary to the art style that we see in Snowfall, is very much its own unique feel. And you are an artist that truly stands apart with your own individual style. So, how did it feel coming on and sort of like starting something new while carrying something that has already been established?
That part I was a bit nervous about, so I did ask Rob about like, hey, what kind of style do you want, man? And he actually said, I just want your style. It's okay, just relax, just forget kind of like that. Let's go in a different direction. And I think I remember specifically he said something about like, because the main character is a female narrative. It's a female narrative story, so I think he kind of wanted that female narrative touch to it, and he thought somehow I could bring that in, even though I'm not particularly very feminine. So I was like, yeah, man, let's do it.
Well, you're getting compliments for your shades. Joseph Hardy saying those red frames are fire, and they are. I dig them. They're really awesome. I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily call them feminine, but you definitely don't strike me as being very masculine. So
Oh, because inside I feel like I'm a man.
Not at all.
Okay.
So that's interesting. And given how you typically go about doing illustrations, with doing covers and things like that. How was it, jumping back into the sequential art form and working with those constraints?
I was a bit. I did have some trepidations about that, but luckily, Rob is a. I don't know what you call it. Is that there's a word for it? A complete. Is it a complete script? I think somebody says it's either called a tight script or a complete script. I
A
don't know
full
what it is.
script, or yeah.
Sorry, full script.
Yeah.
So Rob's style writing is a full script. So there really wasn't much to play around. And if you do play around, it's good because the foundation is so solid. So there's many times where I did get like experimental. I was, hey, how about this? How about this? How about this? And he's like, okay, okay. And then sometimes we'll collaborate, and sometimes no, and then I'll adhere back to what he wanted. But it's always because he had a very solid, you said full script style. It was actually not as hard as I thought it would be. So it's cool.
Yeah, the way like my scripts are written is I basically dictate what the action is, and like sometimes I'm very visual about like how my panels are placed position wise, as well as like what their hands, facial structures are doing. Basically everything. I'll flat out lay it out and say, hey, this is what this panel is supposed to look like. And if they, like with Mog or even Carlos, if they decide that, okay, I can make this more interesting, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Go for it, But if there's a specific thing that I want to show, I'll be like, no, it has to be this way for the pacing or whatever the case may be.
So I want to go behind the scenes now because, and again, I've had this conversation with Kyle pretty much when I first started dealing. And he said to me that the line between being a writer and a dealer is very thin. And that leads me into my next question of being, seeing what goes on behind the scenes. You two are both names in the industry. And you guys came together and you put together this amazing Kickstarter. You guys raised a lot of money in order to make this project happen. So for those of us out there who are looking to follow in your footsteps and have success on platforms like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whatever other crowdfunding options there are out there, what kind of advice how did you guys coordinate? How did you guys work together to really get the max out of, achieving what you essentially, the financial things the financial backing you needed to make this happen?
Yeah, so like with the Kickstarter, a lot is having an audience, for one thing. That makes a big difference. I went into Kickstarter the first time in 2016 and had a failed Kickstarter because, one, I was a little bit naive and set my goal at 20,000 for 3 issues. I made 5,000. For if I would have just went in there for a single issue, I would have been great, right? But also, I went into it without an audience. I had nobody who even knew who I was. So building an audience, and then also like the way Mog and I worked together during this most recent campaign was we, one, we would share posts. She would post, I would post, we'd share each other's posts out, talk to our, fans on social. And then also her and I were constantly doing things like this. Like we were like the two of us like had a whole month full of like, like nightly interviews and
So you guys have gotten probably to know each other just as well working on the book as you have doing all this press work together.
Oh yeah, I mean, even like when we weren't doing like the press work, like we were having video chats.
Yeah.
Just her and I offline. Talking and clarifying stuff and just working through things. If she had a question that was more than like a simple text or a message, like her and I had like a conversation. Video chatting, and it worked out amazingly. Which she's actually the only artist that I've actually been able to do that with. So. Which has been great, getting to know her and working with her, and her husband Mel, has been involved in helping and leading us to in the areas that like maybe I wasn't really versed in, and vice versa. So it was just a great way of collaborating, and I'm very blessed to have her on the project.
Yeah, same here. Like I think it was the first time that I was like as interactive with Rob. Like video chat and everything that helped.
Yeah. So peeking behind the actual comic itself and looking at your production process, Mug, I've had the pleasure and honor of working with you, and I see that you have a platform for how you do everything. Can you tell us a little bit about that, like what your collaborative process is like?
I think it's very simple.
Yeah, no. I remember you use a program for.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? I personally, I've never worked with an artist that has used that platform, and I think it's really just awesome.
Actually, Rob should talk about it because I learned from him.
Oh, you learned it
He's
from
an
him.
organizer freak, and I was like, "Oh, this is so awesome!" So what I do is usually when somebody contacts me, I would gather all the information, and then I would use a platform called Trello. I'm sure Rob can explain more later about it, but I use a Trello and I put it in a visual board, like a project we're doing together in a corporate office, I guess, and then say, hey, just come to here. Stop messaging me, man. Just stop emailing me, stop messaging me, because it's like if you do all that, I have to dig through Facebook, I gotta sometimes dig through Instagram, I gotta dig through email, and then I have to just try to dig through all the information. But if you put it in like one platform and it's like in a visual format, and it just everything makes life is so easy. That's it. And then that's how I communicate with my clients. So that's how I did with you. First of all, you would tell me like, hey, I want this. I was like, okay. So I put it on a board, and then I would say, hey, this is thumbnail. Do you like it or not? And you're like, yeah. And then now this is the line work. Do you like it? It's like, yes. Now this is the final piece. Do you like it? It's like, yeah. So just make it simple. That's what I did. So Rob, if you can elaborate, that would be great.
That's awesome that you took like the tool that I introduced you to and you ran with it and you kept going.
See, it's all full circle.
All right. It's just, because it's great for organization. It's great for sharing. It stores images. You can have a checklist of like, say, there is a page that needs some work on it. I have an edits checklist, boom, boom, boom. And she can check it when it's done. And, it's great for management. I suggest any, project, it could be web design or graphic design, whatever, like, or even just like writing too. It's a great tool for, for me, like I use it for everything, as far as like, planning my Kickstarters, doing my social posts, working with my marketing team, or like my group, and it's just, it's a great tool to use, and it's a free platform. I mean, you could obviously upgrade to like the more advanced, but I've never gotten to the point where I needed to. I mean, really for what I do with it, it's nice. It's streamlined. It's, you can drag things to like different cards of different boards. Like for the way I have my, comic board set up is I have basically I have pages, 1 through 24 and then the the artist will then drag it over into the doing. once that's done and approved, move it over to the done, and then I take it over to the colorist and do the same process. I mean, it's a nice process, and you know where you are. You can see everything visually, and like she said, it doesn't get lost in Facebook messaging. It doesn't get lost in like your Dropbox. It doesn't get lost in your emails.
I hate that.
It streamlines the process a lot.
Dude, you can share it if you want. I have a sample.
Yeah, go ahead. If you guys want to screen share, Kyle, is that possible? He'll come in and let us know in a second.
Come on, Kyle, stop using the
Yeah.
Yeah, can we do a screen share for Mog?
Sure.
Look at that.
Come on, Kyle.
Nice cat.
Yo. So this is what Rob is talking about. He just makes like 1, 2, 3, 4 general reference to doing done. So these are the information that the client would give me, and then I would copy paste all the information that he gave me about this. So if he needs any correction, he can add it on, And then after that, I would do, okay, this is my thumbnail, yo. And then he's like, all right, make these changes, right? And then I would do that. And then I would say, hey, this is a line work. Is this okay? And then, yeah. And then once it's done, so I will show that I'm doing it. And then I'll drag it like I'm doing it here. And then once the color is done, like I would it's like, hey, I'm done. And then you just drag it done and you're done. And this is the final piece. So something like that.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your coloring process, Mog? Like, it seems like it's almost like there's like a painted look to your coloring style. And that's really kind of like where I've noticed that your art really starts to shine is when we see the colors come in. What kind of process are you using for coloring, outside of this? This is just like the project management, but are you using Photoshop? Are you coloring by hand and scanning?
Oh, yeah, it's very simple. I just color by hand.
You color by hand?
So yeah, this is all like watercolor, and then I'll just do the line work. So I'll take that line work you saw, and then I would just pretty much paint on top of it. It's nothing to it, just traditionally. And then I think that's why it has that painted look you said.
Mog, do you have your cover for Snowpile?
Yeah, is it okay if I show that board? Because I didn't know if you were.
Yeah, because we can talk. Because Onrie doesn't know that that you used gemstone paints. I'm sure.
I didn't actually. I'm learning. Honestly, Mog, I had no idea you worked like this. Okay, so wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I know I talk like everything's cool, but I'm very methodical. Where's it? Is it covered? Is it here?
Yeah, it should be. Scroll down a little bit.
Is it cover? Is it this one?
See, there you are.
Okay, so this is the cover process. Let's go from the big. Is there more? Oh wow. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was
Oh, here it is. Oh,
we went through all those.
Yeah. So this is like the mood board we will discuss. This is just the mood. It's not even reference. It's some kind of like this feeling, and he's like, okay, it's like a visual board. And then do I go here? Oh, here. And then he said, and then he would say, hey, this is my visual board. Is there a way we can like, see eye to eye or come up with something?
I think for this one, I was kind of sharing like how like the layout of the, with the logo and the the cover layout would be.
That's fascinating.
And then, okay, I don't do this anymore, so do not expect this, please. I'm not going to do this for you guys. None of you guys. It's just I'm only going to give you maybe 2 choices from now on. But this is I was so excited because I love the idea. So I was doing all these like different concept ideas for the cover. And then I think I did was it 30?
Yeah, you did quite a bit. It was so hard to choose.
Let's look at the number.
Mog, I completely understand now. Wow, that's a lot of work, to come up with all these concepts. So do you get into a creative state of mind in order to obviously, but I mean, I find it particularly when it comes to writing that I have to be forced to do it in order to get up and sit down and start doing it. And, there aren't always times when I'm in a creative mood. I have to force myself to actually get the freaking work done.
That was me.
Yeah, it's not like I was having a conversation with somebody earlier about how he was saying like the moon and the stars need to be aligned in order for me to be creative, and sometimes I feel like that too. I want to be in that right frame of mind, but when you're on deadline and you want to get a project done, you may not always get there. So what do you do to find your inspiration? Do you just use the references? Do you read other comics? Do you watch movies? Like, what do you do to like get yourself like ready to go and work?
Yeah, so I think what helps is Onrie, by any chance, when you were young, were you a big consumer? Did you read a lot of books? Did you watch a lot of movies? Or were you more of an action guy?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I played Nintendo a lot, and was I a consumer? Yeah, sure. I mean,
I think that was more like you were more interactive. You're a very active guy. Because for me, I would do nothing but just sit down all day and just consume material, like read books, watch something. That's it. That's all I did. And I think later on down the years, when people yell at you while you're doing that, what do you do with your life? What's all that useless information in your head, man? Like, what are you doing? You're wasting time. But actually, I think for creatives, that period is actually important because you're building up a visual library inside. And I think Rob did the same because he's very visual like me. So later on down the line, it's like now we don't really have time to even watch anything. And so whenever like a idea or like a task has to be done, for example, this, hey, you got to do a cover, then I'll sit down and then I'll just kind of think about all the images in my head and loosely based on the category. So there's images like flashing through all my head, and then I'll grab that folder, and then within the folder, I would just dig in, and then from that, I would start researching that that would match whatever I have in my head. And then, because for me, I always see possibilities. It's always like possibilities, possibilities. It just splits into like one. It's like a hydra, you splits one head, it becomes two, four, eight. But that's me. So I go like this. Rob is interesting. He is like an arrow is on his head, just one single huge fucking arrow. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. He's like
No,
an arrow,
about it.
and that's all. It's like one, like that one direction go bam. Like I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't go like that, but he's very directional.
He's straight as an arrow, folks. Straight as an arrow.
He's an arrow. So it's like like Doctor Strange, kind of like that one, like he see the future, how it's gonna end, blah blah. He just plans everything, it's just on that one thing. But I think that's good because his mind works that way. I'm glad, and my mind goes other directions. So if you work well together and you put that together to use, I think you can come up with something golden. But creative process, it's more like now. I think Rob and I would say the same thing because we consumed so much before. It's not a matter of like, oh, how can I do it? I don't have. It's more like we just don't have time to do more. I think that's what it is.
Time is
I imagine in my head right now, I see like a donkey sleeping with flies circling around its butt. That's what happens when you look into my head. But
I would say that my mind is like an arrow moving forward. It is very everywhere, but I'm like Doctor Strange. I'm able to see all the different outcomes. So like I say with my attention deficit disorder, I say that it's my superpower because like I could be boom, 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 like doing multiple things at the same time and trying to get more done.
well, speaking of attention deficit disorder, I think that's something that we all suffer, which is why we're in this business in general, because of the fact that we go in the direction of what holds our attention, and that's what really guides us. And speaking of that, we're now at the half point of this show. And so I'm going to throw it out to the fans right now. Everybody who's watching, this is your chance to not only get signed copies of Snowpaw by Rob, but by Mog as well. So we got, let's see here. How many copies? I have only 4 copies. Seriously? Only 4 copies?
I thought you said you 5.
I have 5. I have 5 copies of Snowpaw here for you guys. Call it as you see it. Rob, what are we doing on these?
So those are all $5 each.
And they're signed by Mog and Rob.
That's right.
So,
Signed by both of us.
But isn't there also like a sticker or something?
there's
flag
inside. There's flag in here.
Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff. You got stickers, you got bookmarks. You
Oh,
know.
bookmark! Wow, look at this bookmark. Check this out. For $5, guys, you have no idea. These books have gone across the country and back. They went from Rob, who's in you're Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Pennsylvania to Hawaii to get signed by Mog and then sent back here. Signed by both creators for only $5. Call it as you see it. We only got 5 copies of these. So here's the bookmark that you get too with your purchase. This is just really awesome. I dig this. And what else we got here? The rest of the schwag here. Where is it?
I think it's in one of the ones that.
Ah, there we go. Yes. Look at this. The stickers. Okay, you put them all in one. Wow. Okay. There's enough to go around for everybody, but this is really hot, guys.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you to figure out who gets what.
Yeah, no, I think there's enough for everybody. Everybody who calls something gets something. There's stickers here, which are really awesome. Check this out, guys. $5. You got 5 copies. Call it as you see it. We got you covered on that. And then we also have, for those of you guys who picked up Nightwolf 1 through 4 last time we had the show, we now have Nightwolf number 5 to complete your set here. This is the complete first volume. And Rob, what are we doing on Nightwolf?
Those are $5 each as well.
So Classic Vigil, all you got to do is just call it as you see it. Say, I want Nightwolf 5. I want Snowpaw 1. Let me know. Just drop it in. And then from there, you're going to get a form and you're going to fill it out. And I'm going to send you your stuff. I'm going to send you an invoice and then you'll pay your invoice and I'll ship out your stuff. So you can also just message me through social media. Send me your information and your emails. The only thing I need, and that's it. Once you make a claim, I set your book off to the side. So it's very, very simple process. We have 5 copies of Nightwolf 5. Now, if you're new to the series and you're watching it, we actually have some trades here too. I have 5 copies of the first volume of Nightwolf. This is issues 1 through 5, right?
4.
1 through 4. Okay, so issue 5 is on its own. It's on his own here. So what's volume 1 going for?
That one is $30.
So $30 on this. These are factory sealed. This is really, really beautiful. $30 on this.
152 pages of story and art.
Outstanding. So 152 pages here. Plus you get issue 5. This is 35. And then we got Snowpaw 1. You walk out of here with everything up to date on what Lone Wolf Comics has out there. You're looking at a grand total of $40 for the whole shimoli of everything. So call it as you see it, guys. This is a great deal on some independent books that are signed, ready to go for your collection. And last time we had Rob on here, all of his stuff sold out. We got a Snowpaw 1 claimed by Classic Vigil. Everybody else who is watching the show right now, do not be shy. Call it as you see it. We got you covered. And I forgot my my notepad, but I can hear you guys. Rob, I'm going to throw a question over to you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this trade here is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Can you walk us through the first volume? Like, tell us like what the main story is. Give us the pitch of Nightwolf Volume 1.
So with Nightwolf, it's a story about a young man who finds out that he's born a werewolf, gets thrown into a supernatural war against demons, witches, vampires, other werewolves. He's a teenager in high school. This is during modern times. And issues 1 through 4, which is collected into this trade paperback, is basically kind of the setup where you start out, you see how his life is before the proverbial shit hits the fan. And when he turns 18, the supernatural creatures become aware of his kind of coming of age, if you will. And when that happens, his small town starts to be invaded by all these supernatural creatures, which leads so that's, the first chapter is basically just showing the before, and then kind of starts putting together, issue or chapter 2 is like where the creatures invade, and issue 3 is where he's making his transformation. He's fighting against these creatures, and then issue 4 is basically that's where Snowpaw kind of comes in, takes him under her wing, and starts to kind of train him. So that's basically volume 1 as a whole. And with the trade paperback, compared to the single issues, each chapter has an additional 4 pages of story that has been added that's not in the single issues. So the trade paperback has 16 total new pages of story with additional artwork and pinups and stuff inside that book as well. So,
wow. Okay, so you're getting more content. So if you're
a lot more content.
If you're a fan of the first 4 issues, you're essentially getting a 5th issue in here with 16 pages. So Rob, I want to mention, or I want to ask you something. I just noticed Bakuman Studio.
Yes.
Are they your publisher for this?
No. So Oscar Chocacota Ele, who took over temporarily for Carlos Herrera, that's his his illustration studio. So there was a period where after issue, so he took over for Carlos by himself for issue 1, and then I had Ross A. Campbell as the colorist. Then Ross dropped because he went to DC Comics. So Oscar was like, "Hey, I have a crew of guys who will just do issue 2 for you. Me and my guys will do that." So Bakuman Studio did the artwork for issue 2, and then later on, then they did the illustration for issue 3 when I picked up Gat Melvin for the colors. So that's kind of that's what Bakuman, how they're involved.
That's really cool.
Okay. Then, later, Carlos came back in, and I was like, "Hey, all right."
So we got 4 copies of Snowpaw left. 4 copies of Snowpaw 1 left. These are signed by both Mog and Rob. You guys are getting a dual signed book for only $5. That to me is one of the craziest deals of all time, because between the shipping and the signing and everything, guys, you're getting a heck of a steal on this. This is not something that is easily put together. It requires a lot of coordination and a lot of trust in the post office system that these books are going to get to where they need to go in one piece. And the cover that Mog put together for this, now that I know more about what went into the art, based on the feeling that you showcased, like from the images that Rob showed, I think you totally nailed it. And I think you should be extremely proud of what you've done on this cover. Now, the interiors of this book seem to be done a little bit differently. Are you still, coloring the same, using the same method for the interiors of the book?
So the interior, we have a different colorist. Her name is Bruna Costa. She's a colorist from Brazil, and she's her and Mog both like together. Like when they coordinated, I coordinated their work together. But like the fact, like they worked so well as far as like her, like they complemented each other. It was amazing. Like the line art with the colors, it made everything just pop out off the page. It's gorgeous.
Mog, how was it for you seeing your work colored by a different colorist?
I really liked it because I'm kind of notorious for my line work. I don't know why. I try so hard, but I think people generally have a hard time understanding the line work, or what I intend, or maybe it's because I'm used to coloring my own work. But hers is the very rare exception. There's no real communication, but she understood it and she took the direction very well. The color, she did it so well. So
yeah, I mean, I barely had to like make any kind of edits with her. She like knocked it out of the park 90% of the time.
And I really enjoyed reading this. Rob, I remember you sent this to me over the summer in PDF format. Seeing it fully realized, like, this is just fantastic. Now, one other thing I want to point out here is that you got some blurbs on the back from some pretty big names in comics, starting with the EXP's very own Jen King, who said herself, in her own words, "It's not often when the twist you're expecting isn't the one you get. True love and lycanthropy. What could be better?" Jen King, owner, retailer, Space Cadets collection. We got 4 copies of Snowpaw 1 left for only $5. This is a heavily endorsed book. Call it as you see it. You guys are going to see this on Kickin' It, and I'm going to move a whole a ton of these. If these, I'm not even worried about these selling out. I know that they're going to go at one point or another. Whether you guys call them now or later, it doesn't matter. But we're going to give you guys this chance. We only got 19 minutes left. Actually, even less than that. 16 minutes left before the next show comes on, before Nick's original art show comes on. So you guys have a chance right now to call Snowpaw number 1. We got 4 copies left. Now, Rob, let's talk about Nightwolf 5. Nightwolf 5, obviously, picks up after issue 4. But
yep.
What's going on?
So this is the start of the second volume, and the end of 4 was where Snowpaw again was taking Nightwolf under her wing and starting to train him. So this issue is it's kind of like the Mr. Miyagi, Daniel LaRusso training montages. There's actually scenes where like she's just beating the crap out of him, and then taking him and training him and telling him, about like his heritage and, as a werewolf and just training him and what he has to expect and things that are coming. And then we also see like, other players are moving, the villains have their own plans, as well as I have a FBI special investigations unit who are basically moving in and following in their footsteps. You actually get to see their base of operations in Area 51, and you can see these encased creatures, that are showing they're not just supernatural creatures. There's also the mythological and fantasy creatures in these like tubes. You're like, well, what are these guys doing with them? Kind of a thing. So it's opening up more. It's starting to move. At where issue 5 leaves off, going into issue 6. Issue 6 coming up this spring. Basically, that's where the ball really gets rolling. There's a lot of action. It's almost a nonstop roller coaster all the way through the end of the story arc in issue 12.
Excellent. So we got 5 copies of Nightwolf number 5 going for $5 right now, and so we know that Nightwolf number 6 is on its way. What's the latest with Snowpaw number 2?
So with Snowpaw number 2, I'm in the editing phase before I hand it off to my editor. So like I have, when I'm doing my scripts, I want to make sure it's as polished as possible. Right now, I do 24 pages. I am actually over pages, so I have to figure out either what I need to cut out or to move to the next issue.
What?
Yeah, there's so much stuff that I wanted to cram in there that I can't. So I'm actually trying.
What? You said 33 pages?
I mean, there's close to that, yeah. I kind of have to whittle it down.
This other guy working, he couldn't do it. So I'm doing 53. And this was after editing and editing.
I can see you guys have a very good working relationship. And Yvonne is just more than happy to get the extra.
Oh, I know. She's itching.
All the revisions. She absolutely
I
loves
think it might be good, actually. Because if it's more action, man, yeah.
And this one takes place obviously after the first, page 24 for issue 1. It just, the beginning, like the first half of the book is straight action.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wait, do they move? Is it London?
That's the second half of the book.
Wow, see?
But the first half of the book is it's right off of what the page 24. It goes right from there, and it's like nonstop for like
yes.
Like
okay,
pages.
I'm sorry. Just gotta do the 33, man. Double 3. You gotta do double 3.
So, Rob, I want to talk to you more about you as an individual, as the head of this operation. I've had many conversations with people throughout this past week, as a matter of fact, about the fact that being a writer in comics usually requires you to have another job outside of comics.
Yeah.
Whether you're able to make it as a freelance writer, you still have to go outside of comics. You have to find a way to stay afloat. It's very hard to just do this full time, particularly as an independent publisher. When I see you, particularly setting up at conventions, and you have these beautiful big displays, you have so much wonderful content out there, and you're doing all of this stuff, but you're also working a full-time job, and you have a family. Can you tell us a little bit about this, and how does your creative how do you have time to be creative?
Get like we were talking earlier about how my mind is always, in all these different directions. So I'm sure it probably aggravates my wife to no end, especially when there's times I space out. But I'm a full-time web and graphic designer. So I do that. I have been working remotely from home, so that gives me I don't have to do the commute. So what I do is I wake up really early in the morning, I get my exercise in, and then I shower, hurry up, sit down, start working. And then once I'm done, and I work hourly. So like, I'm a 80-hour, a pay, every employee. So once I get my, 40 hours a week in, I can, I could work like, get 4 10s or whatever, but usually what I typically do is I get my work done and then I move on to doing my stuff, or vice versa. Or I'll do it in the morning and then I'll start late or whatever, depending on like if I'm in like the creative mood, it's like, oh, I got to get that in there while I can. You know how that is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then with my family, once I'm done, so like things like this is usually rare. Like I don't typically, once I'm done with work and being at the computer, like I'm, in the evenings, I'm with them, I'm feeding the kids, taking them all the, places that they need to run, cause I got 2 boys and a girl. The boys are in sports. My daughter's in to dance. And so it's, I'm playing Mr. Mom, my wife works later than I do. So, she deals with the morning stuff. I deal with the evening stuff. And, so, but once the kids are like settled down in bed, then it's back to the grind. Like for me, I'm at like about 9 o'clock.
And 9 o'clock is like, I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, is it 9 yet? Is it 9 yet? Is it 9 yet?
Yeah. So
it's 9 and it's like, I don't feel like working.
You believe me, there's times where I wish I could do that. But like, right now I'm in fulfillment still with Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
For Snowpaw. Like I'm, I got packages going out the door. I'm packing, or if I'm like sitting, like even when I'm like watching TV, I typically don't just like, I can pay attention to what's going on, but like, I'm also on my phone, like looking up stuff or stories or writing or like doing social posts, doing the social media marketing stuff while I'm watching TV, then, like I said, but then I'll, when I'm spending the time with my wife, like, I try to make sure I put my phone down as much as possible, but she's doing the same thing. She's, watching TikToks and, but, her and I, we do like date nights and stuff on the weekends. And I try to not do as much, like maybe like, in the morning I'll do stuff and in the evening, but like during the daytime, it's primarily family.
Absolutely. That's great. It sounds like you have really good balance among all of your responsibilities.
It's taken a lot of time to finesse for sure. I mean, there was some, believe me, there was some headbutting, at first, but now that I have a workaround, a pattern, if you will, and make sure that I don't forget what I need to do.
No, it helps. It helps to be organized. I think that was my biggest problem last year, was getting hit with so many curveballs and figuring out this game. And now I'm starting to see myself get organized, and I'm like, wow, it is possible. Now, Mog, let's talk about you, because we still got another 10 minutes here. And you have a very different, like, you're like, I can see the chains around your hands and your neck, just chained to your desk, drawing and painting and drawing.
Yeah.
And painting. What does your day-to-day like, at what point do you clock out and say, all right, I'm done being an artist. I'm done producing.
Never. See, it's like this. My life is like this. Imagine, okay, my husband is the manager, right? It's like
He's
Rob.
a difficult taskmaster.
It's like Rob. but really like 10 times like demonic. Mr.
Sign of a healthy relationship.
As he sits
Robbie's being nice right now. Look. Robbie's being really nice, but this guy is a freaking workaholic. And I just wanted to say, either you just have it, you don't. That's it. You either have a workaholism or you don't. That's where you get it. You can't be taught, okay? And then the second one, this guy gets it done. His brains are works that way, okay? I don't have that, okay?
Yes, you do.
But it's okay, because my partner thinks that way.
I don't believe. I'm challenging you.
I mean,
no way.
I can see that you get things done.
Yes, we can see that you get things done. But not only that,
this is done.
not only that, she's running a show. You know, she's doing conventions. We all see how hard you're working, and
you don't know. That's all
I know that's just.
She's like, it's not work when it's fun.
Yeah.
That's all I know, man. I just do the work.
Tom is I mean, but that you sound like my wife, Maud. Just get the work done. It's like I don't want to work. Just get it done. Just finish it.
Oh, I think maybe it helps is maybe Rob and I we're not very emotional, so we push it away. It's like emotion. What's that? We push it away. Maybe
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, never mind. He's very emotional, but I'm not.
I'm so emotionally invested in this. It's like I can't stop.
Well, you know, Rob, I understand that too. You know, because it's your brainchild. It's everything. I mean, you know, and you do such a wonderful job of branding. I have to say, like, there's a lot I learned just from watching what you're doing and stuff that I hope I can apply to what I'm doing in publishing as time goes on. It's really you're not a writer. You're not just a writer. The writer in you is a portion of what the overall image is. You're building a brand here. You are, you know, you're an entrepreneur as much as you are a writer. And all of that stuff takes time. And I know it because I do the work too. It's not like you just decide, I'm going to get hats done with my logo on it. There's a lot of planning and execution that go into that. So, you know, I commend you for getting that far because you're right. It's not, you know, it takes a lot of maneuvering and balancing. One thing I wanted to tell you guys, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine earlier who he broke down and he was crying yesterday. And he was upset because he took this job at Taco Bell. And he lives in a really cold area. And it's freaking nasty. And he's working at Taco Bell. And he's like, I feel like this is all I'm amounted to be. And I said, why? You're making ends meet. You're out there working and trying to, you know, you're not going to be remembered for working at Taco Bell. You're going to be remembered for making ends meet and doing whatever is necessary to get to that next point with your project. And I said, you're way beyond me because I can't do that kind of work. You know, it's hard, you know, to put on that uniform and say, I'm going to go and do this. So the fact that you're willing to do that in order to make your comic, in order to get that project done is a big deal. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, with like even like artists and you know, musicians and you know, movie stars before they really hit it big, they all started somewhere, you know, to work to get that. I mean, even for me, like I went to, you know, to be a graphic designer because I wanted to get into comics. But I know, like, you know, I haven't actually, besides doing my self-publishing, you know, I didn't get hired by comics. You know, I've been doing stuff for other clients and big corporations and stuff. So like to be able to like start somewhere and have a plan and then be able to have the tenacity to put your comic together still after a long day's work, you know, that shows that you're dedicated and that shows that you're, you know, that you have the drive to do it. Because if you're one of those guys who that's all you do and you don't have them and you quit because you're not making the money, well, here's the thing. I have a full-time job to support my family. This is not going to do that.
Yeah. I think also adding to that, your friend, he has to change the perception of what's valuable, because it seems like he's so concerned about what other people might think of him. So if it's like a Taco Bell whatever worker, you should take pride in that. It's just social conception of what most people think. Oh, you're doing that? You should not even think about that, because at the end of the day, you're providing a service. I mean, I really hate how there's social prestige thing. There's a ranking stuff. Like, don't even think that. You change your perception and say, hey, I am doing a service, you know, and take pride in that. Just change the perception and say, hey, I'm doing a service and I actually do enjoy this because it's a no brain dead job. I can think about other stuff. This is fantastic. You know,
you can write.
Think of it that way, dude.
Yeah, and it gives you experiences. It gives you things to write about.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't worry about what other people think, man. Screw them.
Screw them
Who cares? They don't care about you. Sorry, except I do care about you guys. Okay, so
The big hot poker. All right, so we got a couple minutes left here. I'm going to throw this out to you guys. Nightwolf number 5 going for $5. Snowpaw number 1 signed by Mog Park and Rob Multari going for $5. And we got volume 1 of Nightwolf featuring 16 extra pages of content. This is going for $30. Call it as you see it. This is an excellent book right here. Everything is signed by Rob. Back this book. Pick it up right now. Call it as you see it. We got 3 minutes to go. So, Rob and Mog, let's do a final shout out to you guys. Where can we find you? How can we support you? We'll start off with Mog, and then we'll go Mog, and then we'll go.
Very simple. I keep it simple, okay? It's Mall Park. Facebook, Instagram, ArtStation. Okay? There. Okay, you go.
All right, Rob.
All right. Well, you can find me at Lone Wolf Comics or at Rob Multari at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I just started a TikTok. I'm not sure why, but hey, the cool kids are doing it now, right? So I'm trying to get into that, but I started another one. It's also at Lone Wolf Comics. You don't want to just stifle yourself with one social media, right?
Absolutely. You got to be connected to everything. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Snowpaw and Nightwolf will be available for sale on Kickin It, so you guys can call it at any point. And we're going to sell through these books, and I look forward to having you guys back when Snowpaw 2 is out.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here, guys. I appreciate it.